The reason why the U.S. government picks me to do transition of combat men, and I haven't seen combat. Me, how you unscrabble your brains from combat killer, from boots to suits. There's a reason. There's also a reason why University of Exeter students rioted against me 10 days ago when I gave a talk. They let pedophile perverts talk there. Nobody says a goddamn thing. The only difference between my rioters and everybody else is the girls got naked in the classroom I gave the talk. They say that was a first. They got naked. They said I was a misogynist, a racist, a this, that, and the other thing. And these are people that are rioting for free speech. The world's fucked. I recommend to the young man, you're all young men, but pornness rubs off. Don't be engaging in collaboration with these people other than your parents and me, because even though they're better than the normal meatheads, they're still meatheads. Well, I thank you for braving the corona, but there wasn't too much corona to get by to get here this time around. And I know a couple of you lost your luggage, but that shows you, see, I always travel with a suit, but I'm living here and you're living in a fucking Quonset hut. And your parents lived in a caravan, so maybe that's why. Remember, you only have 2 times to make a first impression. 1, when you see the person or the persons, and 2, when you open your mouth. Most people that you're going to be competing against, and there's really no competition against QLA, will be looking like pig farmers, etc. Although we have a big pig farmer success story, so I'm going to have to refrain from using that example. And the second time is when you open your mouth. And since most of the kids, and remember again, I call you all kids because I'm either old enough to be your father or grandfather, can't speak the King's English or whatever language you're speaking because they've been raised on the internet. The good news is Corona, there's 5 great things that have happened to me in my lifetime. My wife, my 3 kids, and Corona. God sent me COVID, like a Federal Express package, like a DHL package straight to me. My kids have made more money during Corona than previous 10 or 12 or 14 years because it validates and emphasizes that almost no one has a succession plan, or if they have a succession plan, it's a poor one. And it makes them that much more of a motivated seller. Remember, we only have one moving part in our model, and that's a motivated seller. And it has created infinitely more motivated sellers for us as a group. And like all other catastrophes, all other chaoses, pandemics, etc., most people suffer, but some people benefit. And right now, other than a few that naturally have the killer, hunter, feeder, killer instinct, the people that are benefiting the most are the QLA mentees. And the people that have benefited even the most are the people that have been trained here. We're fortunate, we'll talk more about it during the week. We have 4 attorneys in the audience. I'm sure that they'll be asked, you shouldn't, but why are you back? But anyway, they're back. And we have a young man who's the son of the couple, successful couple. And as you'll hear me say, and you've heard me say for years, it's highly unusual to have a success story that are coupled together because there's a lot of challenges to overcome, not just, cold calling. But this week, we've changed the seminar again. I continue to update it and have. We have some live presentations and we have some currently taped presentations just from already in 2022. And we have people that are exiting, meaning that they've hit the cash register in their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and in some cases 5th years of their participating in the QLA model. And they've created generational wealth. Generational wealth is different to everybody, but we've had some tremendously successful stories and we'll share with you. Now, some of the kids, again, it's been a long time, but the kids are starting to not want to participate in the live webinars. One, because they're satiated, one, because they're lazy. And it's not because they're ungrateful, because they don't owe me shit, really. But because you're competition to them now. And some of the kids are getting squeezed. Not by this group. I don't see how this group could squeeze anybody except a fucking rotten orange or something. But they're getting squeezed because there's competition out there in hinterland. And so they don't want to come up on the screen live and tell you how to do it. And we're getting more and more of that. 10 years ago, they couldn't wait to get on the fucking screen. But now a few of them are saying no mas, like Roberto Duran when he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, no mas. But notwithstanding that, we still have a lot of people that are willing to share their stories with you. And I don't personally understand, and I never have understood why the webinars work. I would rather listen to me tell you how to do it, not some fucking cretin, retard, moron with an 80 IQ on the screen that can't wipe his ass and chew gum at the same time. But in recent years, notwithstanding my wife, her first career was a psychologist, is that you relate to them and you don't relate to me. Because in your wildest dreams, you're never gonna be fucking me. And some of your nightmares are me, but not your dreams. So we continue to bring the retards up. And when I say retarded, it's nothing against people that I actually are. It just says when I say affectionately meatheads. And they come up and still number of them, are willing to share their story, their plight, their sorrows, how the speed bumps like we have on our drive here have turned into Everest, they thought, and then they were able to overcome them by going under it, around it, over it. And we have a number. We have some new ones. At the end of the week, the 15 or 16 or however many we'll see, depending on. And I change the seminar at the end of the day when I read your homework tomorrow at lunch, and I'll decide who is getting it more or not getting it. And I'll make some additions, deletions, etc. for the material that I covered during the seminar, and also possibly the films that we see at night. The homework that you'll do is whatever you see on the films or whoever speaks to you, it's what's your takeaway. Can you relate? Tonight after dinner, you're going to listen to Leanne and Graham talk about their adventures and have a Q&A, a short Q&A, and answer questions about what, if anything, resonated. Everything they say should resonate, but they're newly additions to the Hall of Fame, and we'll talk more about that during the week. And then whatever movies you see, whatever clips you see, one night you're going to see an 8-minute clip on Barron Trump, Donald's youngest son, and how he's been raised and how he's raised by his mom, etc. And I doubt very much if any of you can relate to how he was raised. Our kids can relate because they did a lot of the same things that they did with Barron. Because Barron Trump, rightly or wrongly, what you think about the former president, in full disclosure, I knew him in a lifetime, 2 lifetimes ago. He's changed the world of finance. He's certainly changed the world of running for public office. I can attest to that myself. Now I'm just recently throwing my hat in the public arena. And but just imagine having him as a dad growing up, as opposed to the dipshit piece of cow dung that was your dad. Or having Mrs. Trump as your mother instead of the fat, lard-ass, 400-pound mom that you had, with no goals, no this, no that. I'm not here to insult you, but I will. I'm not here to say anything about your gender, but I will. I'm not here to say or defame your religion, but I will. Because that's a real fucking world. And most of you don't live in the real world. In the real world, I mean, see, rubs off. Richness rubs off as well. There's a reason I don't go to funerals, family funerals. There's a reason why I don't go to family weddings, because my family could rub off on me, even at my age. And I'm closer to 77 than I'm 76 a few days ago. But nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that you're your worst enemy. There are people here that are educated. We have a couple medical doctors. We have a couple of PhDs. And we have a couple that didn't get past the 8th grade. Doesn't make any difference. We've got people on that wall, 180 IQ and 80 IQ. And I wouldn't be segueing into that if the 80 IQ had made more money than the 180 IQ. And for those of you that read books, I feel sorry for you, because you've been deluded, lied to, that reading books is taking action. Okay, reading a book about sex and fucking somebody in the ass are two different things. There's no comparison. The worst blowjob I ever got was terrific. The worst! And I'm not even counting the best. There's a guy out there that has read 700 books, and back in the day, 25, 26, 27 years ago, I used to say, who would you rather have, somebody that's done 700 deals or read 700 books? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. There's 3 or 4 books that I'll recommend, that I have recommended for over 25 years, in addition to my own, which mine is free on my site, that are worth reading. But we have guys up there and gals up there that have never read anything other than Your First 100 Minutes in My Book. We have guys up there that it's so worn, it looks like a manuscript from 1500 BC. But we don't give you a second book. We don't give you the first book now, because some of you went out and tried to sell them for $10,000 on Amazon. Then you forged my signature and said I signed it. And you wonder why I call you meatheads. You wonder why I call you meatheads. We're blessed with the chaos. And I have a different perspective about Ukraine than a lot of people. Having been one of those young officers on what was called then the Iron Curtain, when they had East Germany and everybody on one side and us on the other side, when a young, stupid officer like me could have started World War III. And they have the same young, stupid fucking officers today. In the history of warfare, there's been more generals killed, Russian generals killed in the history of warfare in this battle, which says 2 or 3 very bad things. If the generals have to get on the motherfucking front line, something's wrong with their men. Generals don't get, other than George Patton, generals don't get, and he's on my hall of influencers, generals don't get on the front lines. Something's not right. It's a combination of things, and I said this when it first started. One, the Russian kids that are fighting for Russia don't have their heart in it, because they're killing their own. They don't have their heart in it. And at some stage, and that's why they're starting to talk about somebody putting a bullet in Putin's head. But not only do they have their heart in it, when their heart's not in it and the generals have to lead from the front, eventually, you can only go through so many generals. And then you've got nobody on the battlefield that's got any experience, and then that's when you have a problem. In my judgment, we have a 1 in 3 chance of having a nuclear war. Odds of me being hit up here with my family are 0. For those of you in Australia, they're pretty close to 0. But for those of you that live in metropolitan areas, you're fooled. Now I'm going to talk about a study that just came out, a NATO study, about 7 or 8 days ago. Now, and after I tell what the headlines were, I'm going to ask if anybody saw those headlines other than me. Global warming, if it's called that, or climate change, whatever you want to call it, we saving civilization on the earth, we're past it. As I've said for 20, we're past the apex from about 2000, 2005. Just as Professor Hawkins from Cambridge said in 2004, the human race is past it. We're a glorified monkey on an average-sized planet that produces nothing. NATO study says that we should be worried about civilization saving our asses, not saving the motherfucking planet. Did anybody else read that other than me? Now, why is that? How is it possible, other than I'm as smart as the whole fucking room put together, how is it possible that none of you read it? Because you live in an alternative world. Now they're going to start worrying about the thing that I've talked about for the last several months. In 2142, a meteor's going to hit the fucking planet. 2142. You don't even hear about it because the average mooch, the retards, the meatheads live like yourself until tonight, live in an alternative world. Lenin was wrong when he said religion was the opiate of the people. Stupidity is the opiate of the people. So how can you possibly have turned out anything other than the way you are now? Now, I've been beating my chest at the end of mankind for almost 30 years. I'm an overnight success at 76, which I find amusing. I'm an overnight success. I'm still in heavy demand for that. I thank Brian Rose, who talked me into, I had to browbeat him a little, talked me into being on the show in 2014. But there's a reason why the top 3 sovereign funds, Norway, China, Kuwait, have called on me for advice. Not Ty, not Jay, me. The reason why the US government picks me to do transition of combat men, and I haven't seen combat. Me, how you unscrabble your brains from combat killer, from boots to suits. There's a reason. There's also a reason why University of Exeter students rioted against me 10 days ago when I gave a talk. They let pedophile perverts talk there. Nobody says a goddamn thing. The only difference between my rioters and everybody else is the girls got naked in the classroom I gave the talk. They say that was a first. They got naked. They said I was a misogynist, a racist, a this, that, and the other thing. And these are people that are rioting for free speech. The world's fucked. But there's no better model on the planet, and there's no better time than for the QLA bots to take advantage of it. I told somebody, they always want to know, how soon can you get rich, blah, blah, blah. Well, the new record from the time that you leave this seminar to getting rich is 26 days. 26 days. I'd like to make up a story, but he's from Belfast. And he's not really a pig fucker, but a pig farmer, but he's a pig fucker for sure. And when you hear him tomorrow, God bless you though. When you hear it tomorrow, if he can do it, if 15, 16-year-old kids can do it, why in the fuck not you? Why in the fuck not you? And there are stupid questions, and we have data. The people that ask the most questions mean that they're not prepared. Ergo, they either don't succeed or they're slower to succeed. I'm gonna say it again real fucking slow. The people that ask the most fucking questions mean you're not prepared, meathead. And if you're not prepared to come here, the transformational week in your life, you're gonna either not make it or you're gonna take the slow route to China. The average age of you in this room is 33. The oldest is 54, the youngest is 14. My greatest and fondest wish is not too much of you, if at all, rubs up on the 14-year-old. Because you're quasi-losers. The only thing you've ever done worth a shit in your life is come here. The day after graduation can be, if you want it to be, the first day of the rest of your life. And there's a reason why we have repeaters. There's a reason why the Hall of Famers are here again. And there's a reason why they brought their young son. Just imagine if you were 14 and you heard this story. Said it for the guys. I don't know. I can't speak for the girls. The guys, all you were doing was jerking off on your laptop. 14. What an advantage. Tomorrow, because of Mitchell, I'm going to go through 6 or 7 teenage success stories dating back 20, 25 years. As they would say in Japan, big fucking hitters. Big hitters. The 13 and 14-year-olds that came here are in their late 20s now, retired. They bought an island someplace and they're just fornicating with native girls all day long. I hope they're practicing safe sex unless they want to have a lot of kids. And then there's you. But better late than never. Better late than never. Duncan, hit it!